Stop recording button. Double tap to activate.
Hello, we're in the kitchen again. Well, hopefully this video will post after Easter, but I mean, you could use it all year long. If you don't know yet, or if you're new to my channel, hi, my name's May. I love yarn, I love tenure and crochet, and I also happen to be visually impaired. But you know what? Stitchers gotta eat too. So sometimes you'll find me in the kitchen. Now, when I was a child, we ate a lot of ham for Easter, and I loved it. I ate a lot of it. It's a big memory of mine. So I still enjoy ham. And if you're wondering what to do with your ham bone post Easter, don't throw it out. My dad was a Chinese immigrant. He became a cook for a living. He grew up really poor and learned how to cook in like the 50s, in the 60s, a time when people still really used all the parts of the animal. And so he would cook soups in the restaurants and at home with the turkey carcass and the ham bone. So I grew up eating that way, and to me, that is so good. I love a soup cooked with ham hocks or your ham bone. It is so fatty and flavorful. I know it's not really good for you, but I can't lie. I love some good ham fat cooked up in a soup. So I know not everybody cooks that way and grew up that way, the way that I did. So I thought I would share with you one of the things I love to do with my ham bone. So I have these ham bone beans. I get them off, here they are. Hopefully you can see them. I get them off the Amazon. It is 15 bean soup. And this is dry beans. And if you've never cooked with dry beans before, it's really better if you soak them overnight. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're not gonna make this soup until tomorrow, but we are gonna open it tonight. Now usually I make one pot of soup, and I've usually only got one ham bone, but it's so good I always want another pot of soup. So then I make the second pot of soup with the same bone, and it's never quite as good, right? And you still get some pork flavor, it's still kind of good, but it's just not quite as thick and flavorful as that first batch of soup when all that ham cooks, all that fat really cooks off. So we are going to do an experiment this time, and we're gonna make 2 pounds, 2 bags of the bean soup at once. So we have the giant pot out. So I'm gonna open these up. Now I'm gonna pour them into this metal pot that is going to be loud. So if you got your earbuds in, or you're noise sensitive, or you got a kid or a child in the room who might be super noise sensitive, this is gonna be loud for a second, okay? There's really not a good way to shake out beans into a big stainless steel kettle and not have it be super loud. So, okay, we're gonna do the second one, like I said, ham bean experiment. 2 bags of beans into the giant kettle. Yeah, I don't know how well this is gonna turn out, but I love to put it in the freezer too. I put this stuff in the freezer. It's so good. Okay. So there we go. There we go. You want to see it? Hopefully that will show up on the camera for you. You can see what is in there. And you're gonna get some seasoning packets with it. So if you are visually impaired, but for anybody, but definitely if you're visually impaired, you're gonna wanna feel around in there. Like if you're like myself, right? You're gonna wanna feel around in there until you get your seasoning packets out. Now, if you don't wanna use their seasoning, or you got your own special seasoning, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to use their seasoning, but you do wanna make sure you get the packets out before you start cooking. So that's what it looks like. You got black beans, you got pinto beans, you got navy beans. You just have a whole, everything. I mean, 15 beans. You got like everything in there. So first thing I'm gonna do is go over and take it to the sink. We're gonna run some water because we really need to rinse these well. I'll be right back. I'm not gonna take you with me. Okay, when you're just getting your water in there to rinse them, you don't have to be exact, you don't have to measure it, but you definitely want them covered. You want to get your hands in there and really swirl it around like you're washing up rice. I don't know how many of you wash your rice, but I do. Like I said, my dad's Chinese. He grew up on a rice paddy. His mom worked in the rice paddies. And so he always washes his rice really well. He taught us that from when we were kids. And I would just use the same method that you would to wash off your rice. If you've never cooked with dried beans, you do want to do that. You want to rinse them out really, really well. So that's what we're doing right now. Let's see. I think we'll let that set for a minute. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Pause. Pause.
Okay, so I want to rinse these really, really well. I want to rub them between my hands really well. And then this water, when you first rinse them, it's kind of icky. You'll see why you want to rinse them. So you definitely want to do that a few times. Now I'm going to go ahead and drain these. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the camera. I'm going to go ahead, take them over there, rinse them. I might do that a couple of times, but I think you get the point of how to wash beans, right? Just rub them between your hands really good. Get some friction. Get anything off there that's kind of grody and icky. So I'm going to pause the camera. I might do that a few more times. And then what I have is just a plain old plastic 1 cup measuring cup. Now for each package of beans, you need 8 cups of water. So because I'm using 2 packages of beans, right? We're gonna end up with 16 cups of water, right? 8 times 2, 16. So after I rinse these a couple of times, I'm gonna go ahead and put 16 cups of water on them and let them soak overnight. Now I'm not gonna do that with you on camera because, I know you got better things to do than listen to me count to 16, right? I could wash my car in the rain, right? Change my new guitar strings. You got better things to do than listen to me count 16 cups of water. So that's what I'm gonna do while we're on pause.
Pause.
Okay, so I ended up rinsing my beans 3 times because, dried beans, they can be a little dingy sometimes. And then I put 16 cups of water in there. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know. I might even be able, I don't know if I don't think I want to take my phone off the tripod right now. But what I'm going to do now is leave the beans covered in the fridge overnight, and then I'll get them out in the morning. And because I did rinse them 3 times and put the 16 cups in, they'll probably be just fine to start cooking with in the morning. Had I only rinsed them a couple of times, I might have let them sit overnight, then dump that water out and rinse them one more time in the morning. But I was pretty thorough tonight with my bean rinsing. So we'll see what they look like in the morning. So this video, hopefully I'll be able to use my video editing app again. As I said, I'm not very good with that. But hopefully I'll be able to get this so that this is a two-part. It'll be two pieces, just put like back to back. It might seem a little jumpy visually because it's going to be like one piece and then another piece. But hopefully you'll get this night piece. And then we're just going to stop the camera for tonight. And then we will continue when we're in the kitchen cooking up the bean pot tomorrow. But I can show you some of what we're just going to put. I'm going to keep it simple with mine. I got the little packets. I am going to use the seasoning packets, but you don't have to. I'm going to use some of these Auguson Farms. There's another one of these companies that does these dehydrated foods. Because I don't drive and I live miles from town, I can't get fresh onions when I want to. So I go ahead and use these chopped dehydrated onions because they're going to cook in the soup for a couple hours. You don't have to soak them and rehydrate them. They'll rehydrate just fine in the pot of soup. They will. So if you're going to use them for something else, you might want to rehydrate them ahead of time. But in soups, you don't have to. So that's what they look like. We might even put the rest of the can in there. They are quite potent. I mean, you can smell these things, okay? As soon as you open the can, you're like, that's onions. So that's what we're going to put in there tomorrow. And we're going to put some canned tomatoes with some habaneros. And that's mostly it, and the ham bone. So, anyways, yeah, we'll toss it all together on the stove tomorrow. I don't even know if maybe I'll make a video in the morning and be doing that. But if I don't, basically, I like to use these diced tomatoes with habaneros to give it some spice. But if you don't want the habaneros, just use regular diced tomatoes. If you like the tomatoes with a little pepper, they do make cans of the jalapeno peppers. You can always put a can of those in, and that'll give it some spice, but not nearly as hot and spicy as the habaneros. And if you do use fresh habaneros, you probably want to wear gloves or hand protection. How do I know? I learned the hard way. Yes, I did. Many, many years ago when I was living in Portland, probably more than 20 years ago, I was chopping up some habaneros for some marinade, for probably some pork chops. I was probably making some super spicy pork chops or something. And I didn't wear gloves. I was handling the habaneros with my bare fingers. Yikes. I washed my hands till they were raw and they still burned all night long. They burn for hours and hours and hours. The heat, the spice on those, for real, it burns your skin for hours. So you're gonna handle them. If you want to handle hot, fresh habaneros, you go right ahead. You have fun. But I like to cheat and let somebody else slice and dice and de-seed my habaneros and just put them in the can. Other diced tomatoes. And then I got a great big ham bone with lots of meat on it still. We're going to toss that into the pot tomorrow. So I thought I'd give you the rundown just in case I forget or something or don't make the rest of the video tomorrow. That's basically what I do with my Easter ham bone. And hopefully I'll remember to bring you back with me tomorrow so you can take a quick peek at what we're doing. But if I don't, that's really all I do. It's a great use for your ham bone. So don't throw it out. Do a little experimenting in the kitchen. Make yourself a big, hearty pot of bean soup with the dried beans and let that ham flavor really cook on the stove for a couple of hours. Do you know that they're actually changing the nutrition guidelines to really encourage people to get more of their protein from plant-based proteins like beans? Yeah, that's happening. So soon enough, when you start seeing those changes, when they're saying, hey, get more beans and legumes and plant-based protein, well, you'll have a great way to get plant-based protein with these dried bean soups with just a little bit of ham and lots of ham flavor from the bone. Okay, alrighty. Well, hang on, maybe I'll pause you one more time. Let you see what it looks like in there with 16 cups of water.
Pause. Pause.
Okay, that's what the soup looks like in there. You can see now the water level in that big pot. If you're wondering what 16 cups of water looks like, and if you're wondering how clear and clean I got my beans before I called them rinsed enough, I am visually impaired. I do have a hard time seeing, but I've cooked with dried beans enough to know you gotta rinse them like 3 times. So that's what mine looks like tonight. Okay, see you in the morning. Hopefully I remember to bring you along.
Stop recording button. Double tap to activate.
Okay, it is morning. It's probably been like 14, 16 hours since I soaked these beans overnight and rinsed them. This is what they look like in the morning. They seem pretty good to me. So I'm not going to go ahead and rinse them one more time and dump out the water. So I'm going to put this on pause while I put the camera on the tripod. I just wanted you to see what they look like in the morning. They definitely plump up. That's the point of soaking them, that they start to plump up. But this is still going to take several hours to cook. If you've never cooked with dried beans before, it's a process. It takes hours. So I'm going to pause this, put this on the stove, and then I'll just show you what I'm doing. And just piece these little video clips together in my editing app.
Pause.
Okay, so I've got the big pot on the stove, and I'm just going to go ahead and add one of the cans of the tomatoes right now. I'm not going to add 2 right now, even though if I was just making one package, I would put in 1 can. I'm going to wait and see how spicy it is with the habaneros. So I'm going to do 1 can of that. And as I said, I'm going to use my Auguson Farms dehydrated onions. I got about a cup of that in a measuring cup. There is just a little bit left in the can. Not sure if I'll use it all yet or not, but I'm going to go ahead and toss that in. Stir that up, and because this is going to cook for probably at least an hour and a half, maybe longer, maybe 2 hours. I've cooked dry beans before for even 3 hours. It's not going to be a problem that I put those in completely dehydrated. I'm not going to put in any seasonings yet, so it cooks a lot more. But here is my ham bone, right? This is why we're making this. I was saying, if you have your ham bone from Easter and you're like, I'm just going to throw it out, I don't know what to do with it. We got a big, juicy, I left a lot of meat on there to cook off. We got a big chunk of meat and bone in there. We're just going to toss that in the pot just like that, That goes into the water. I'm going to just put whatever else was in that bag in there. Okay. And then we're just going to stir it. And that's pretty much it. You do want to just let it come to a boil, just barely, and then you want to turn it down and let it cook. This is going to take a while to boil because it was in the fridge overnight for 15 hours or something, so it's cold, plus it's 16 cups of water. It's a lot going on. So this could take quite a while to even reach a boil, and that's okay. And then I'll turn the heat down quite a bit and just let it simmer for several hours. Let the meat really cook off that bone. Let the natural flavors of the pork fat get in there. I will taste it then at some point and decide, do I want more of dehydrated onions? I can always put more in later. It's harder to take it out, but you can put more in later. So I start with less of the onions, 1 can of the tomatoes, and then I can always add another can of tomatoes if I want. So that's what we're doing today. I think because this could take a while to even boil, I'm just going to go ahead and pause this video. And I might bring you back one more time after several hours just so you can see what it looks like when it's nice and thick. Okay, well, I hope that you had a good Easter or whenever you're watching this. and I hope that it helped you to know, give you an idea of what you can do with your ham bone so that you can really, I know that in today's world, right, things are expensive. Food's expensive, everything's expensive. And so even these dried beans are getting expensive. Who knew that that would get so expensive? So I'm hoping this helps you to find alternative ways to get protein, to add a lot of flavor, to really stretch your budget. That's how people used to cook in the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. People were really into stretching their budgets and using just everything that they had from cooking with their bones. So I hope this helps somebody today. And for now, I'll pause you and check in later and let you see it. All right, thanks.
Pause. Recording. Button. Double tap to activate.
My soup is at a full boil, which is what you want. And now I'm just going to turn the heat way down and let it simmer and sit on the stove for probably a couple of hours because I'm making a double batch.
Stop recording. Button. Double tap to activate.
Okay, well, my soup has probably been on the stove for like 3 hours. Seriously, I can't lie. I turned the heat down really low to a simmer because I thought I'd possibly fall asleep, but I didn't. That's okay. So it's not cooking quite as fast as I thought it would, but it's cooked down quite a bit. And what I'm gonna do, a lot of the meat has cooked off of my bone, but I'm gonna go ahead and use this giant metal spoon to fish out my bone. Put it in a bowl and just let it cool for a little bit because it's really hot. It's been sitting in there. I'm going to turn the heat back up, and I am going to go ahead and use the seasoning packets that came with my soup. If you don't want to use their seasoning packets, you don't have to. You can taste your soup. Maybe the habaneros are enough. Maybe the onions are enough. Maybe all the natural fat from the ham is enough for you. You'll have to make that decision. You could certainly try the seasoning packet. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it again. You can do your own. You might have a family recipe of seasonings or a special seasoning blend, or maybe you just don't like your food very spicy, and if that's the case, that's okay. Not everybody likes their soups really flavorful. So you do you when it comes to seasoning. You don't have to use the package mix just because it comes with it, okay? You do you. You do what works for you. If you want to put in fresh chopped garlic and fresh chopped jalapenos and habaneros, some fresh herbs and fresh cilantro and whatever, you do what you want to do. You season it however you want to season it. Whatever makes you happy. If you want to do chili powder or whatever. So I'm going to bring mine back to a boil. I'm going to stir in the seasoning. Usually I only do 1 package of beans and 8 cups of water, and a lot of my water cooks off, and I have to add another 2 cups of water at least, sometimes 3. So I thought it'd be good doing 2 packages with just doubling the water, but it isn't quite as thick as it usually gets when I do it with 1, and it could be because I turn the heat down pretty low. Could just that it needs to cook a lot longer because I'm doing 2 packages, but what I will tell you with it is that it definitely thickens up in the fridge overnight. Usually I have it the first day because it's been cooking all day and it smells good. So I'll have a bowl today. I will let this kettle cool, and then I will put it all in the fridge. And then once I do that, I'll get it out the next day, and it is almost always quite a bit thicker. So expect that. And then I usually have it a second day, and I put all the rest of my containers in the freezer. And that way, if you got a day when you don't have time to cook, you don't have the energy to cook, you work late, whatever, you have some nice containers in the freezer of some high protein, soup, if it's a cold winter day, you're running late, it's dark, had to work extra long, whatever, and you just want to pull out a nice hearty thick meal with high in protein out of the freezer, because I know restaurants are expensive. And I've gotten sick from more than one restaurant. Just saying, just saying. So I'm pretty careful about those things, and I've learned to really do a lot of my own cooking. So I'm gonna let that sit. I don't know if this ham bone shows up. This is what's left from what you saw. So quite a bit of the meat did cook off, the fat cooked off. There's still some meat on there. That's good stuff. Quite a bit of the fat cooked off. But I'm gonna go ahead, that's still really hot. That should come as no surprise to me. You probably wanna let yours cool longer than that, right? If you've had a bone literally simmering in a pot of water for 3 hours, it's going to be very, very hot. So you'd probably be smarter to let yours cool a little bit longer. But as long as your hands are clean, right? I've talked about this in my pizza video. As long as you washed your hands really good, good hygiene's important, especially, you know, viruses, bacteria, all that kind of stuff. So as long as you washed your hands good, there's no reason you can't use your hands in your own cooking for yourself. And just pull this meat right off of the bone. And I am bringing it back to a boil as well. So even after I've handled this meat with my hands, it's going to go back into a boiling pot of water. And so if for some reason, you know, there was something on my hands, I'm just going to let it boil even after washing with soap. I'm just going to let this meat and everything boil again for several minutes so that, you know, if there is bacteria, it's probably all going to be killed with the boiling temperatures. So I like to do that. I like to boil it in the beginning, simmer it, and then reboil it. So just to make sure. So that's the process for anybody who has never even considered cooking with their bones, anybody who hasn't, anybody who's intimidated by it. It's not a big deal at all. And it's a way to really use every bit of the meat and get full flavor at a really at a good price, right? Otherwise, a lot of people just throw these bones away, and it's like, you know, why do that when you can get some good flavor out of it? So I'm gonna go ahead and keep working at this bone for a while. You don't need to watch the whole process. I don't even know if you can see it. Honestly, I don't even know if it's on camera what I'm doing. Got no idea. But I'm gonna keep working this bone for a while, trying to pull off more of the meat and get it back into the pot to boil up. Gonna rinse my hands and then hit the pause button.
Pause.
Okay, so I spent some time working on this bone from the ham. I'm gonna go ahead and toss the bone back into the pot while it sits. You can see the meat that I got off of here, off the bones, and that's not all of it. I love ham, so of course I do. So of course I was snacking on it while I was pulling it off of the bone. But that's what's left. We're gonna go ahead and stir that back into the soup. Yeah, we are. Wash the hands off of our hands. Give that a good stir. Stir in our meat. Let all of it boil just a little bit. What do you think of the dress, by the way? It's like a sweater dress. I think it's like maybe a charcoal or close to a black, I think. And it has these contrasting white, like, I don't know, floral designs on the top, on the sides, not on the back. Now, I'm ambivalent about the dress. I've put it in the donate pile more than once. And then I pull it back out and I'm like, no, I'll keep it. You can wear it a little more. It's not terrible. I go through cycles with this dress. Sometimes I want to donate it. Other times I'm like, nah, wear it a little more. You own it. You're not totally sick of it yet. So, anyways, that's a totally random thought, but hey, you know, thought I'd put it out there. So, I'm going to ladle some of this up into a bowl. Find a soup ladle. And I'm just going to put some into my bowl over here. Might as well use this bowl, right? Have the bone in it. Yeah, and this is already thickening up. Once I turned it back on to a boil, it's getting thicker again. And as I said, it will thicken up in the fridge. So, I'm going to turn the heat off now because it has been boiling, and I want it to start to cool so I can get it into the fridge. I put you on pause. I'll let you see into the pot, and then I think we're going to call this done.
Pause.
Okay, there's my bowl of soup. That's what that looks like. This is what it looks like inside the pot. You can tell it has thickened up some. Right, we've lost some of the water's boiled off quite a bit. So that's what you're going to get the first day, and then it will thicken up in the fridge. Okay, I'm going to try to put all these pieces together later tonight, hopefully in the right order and everything. And there you go. How to cook with a ham bone and make a nice big pot of high protein, high fiber soup from dried beans. Thanks all so much for listening. Bye-bye.